In the stillness before dawn, when the world is wrapped in silence, the soul of a warrior is tempered like steel in the forge of resolve. Discipline is not born in comfort. It is forged through fire, through repetition, through the quiet defiance of one's weaker self. The path of Bushido teaches that mastery begins when the ordinary man refuses to yield to the ordinary life. To become so disciplined that others call you crazy is not madness. It is awakening. Like Hagane no Ishi, the will of steel, your spirit must become unbreakable, shaped by routine, sharpened by sacrifice, and cooled by patience. Every sunrise is a test of your devotion, every nightfall a reflection of your endurance. This path is not for everyone, only for those who seek to command themselves before commanding the world. If you are ready to walk this path, to become more than what you were yesterday, then comment, "I will forge my will," and subscribe to this brotherhood of warriors. Thank you for standing among those who choose the fire over comfort. Now, let's break down the 10 pillars that forge a spirit of become so disciplined people call you crazy. Miyamoto Musashi. Discipline begins not in moments of triumph, but in the quiet repetition of ordinary acts. The fire of relentless routine is the unseen forge where greatness is shaped. Like a swordsmith hammering the same blade thousands of times, the disciplined soul repeats the same actions again and again until mastery is no longer effort but instinct. Most people fear repetition. They crave variety, excitement, distraction, but the warrior understands that true freedom is born from order, and true strength comes from monotony mastered. The morning rise, the training, the study, the meditation, these are not chores. They are sacred rituals. Routine burns away weakness, exposing only the steel beneath. Every day you repeat your craft, you whisper to the universe, "I will not waver." And the universe, in time, begins to answer. There is fire in routine, because it demands endurance beyond emotion. You cannot depend on motivation when the path grows cold and the world grows silent. The fire must come from within, from Hagane no Ishi, the will of steel. It is not about doing what feels good, but doing what must be done, even when your heart resists. The samurai did not swing his blade because he was inspired. He did so because his way demanded it. Routine is the bridge between intention and destiny. It transforms your vision into rhythm, your goals into pulse. When you rise every day at the same hour, train at the same time, refine the same skill, you align yourself with the timeless current of discipline that has guided warriors, monks, and masters for centuries. In that repetition, the self dissolves, and something eternal begins to move through you. Yet, this fire is not easy to bear. Many begin with passion but fade when the routine burns away comfort. That is why so few ascend to mastery. The fire tests your patience, your faith, your identity. It will strip away excuses, expose laziness, and confront you with your own mediocrity. But if you remain steadfast, if you keep walking through the flames, a transformation occurs. Pain becomes purpose. The repetition that once felt dull becomes a kind of meditation, and your actions begin to flow effortlessly, as if guided by something beyond thought. This is the moment when discipline turns into art. You no longer force yourself to act, you simply act because it is who you have become. The warrior does not ask, "Should I train today?" He already knows the answer. Routine has written itself into his bones. To live in the fire of relentless routine is to understand the path of Musashi, a man who lived by repetition until his movements became divine precision. His life was not a collection of grand moments, but an accumulation of disciplined days. Every sunrise was a promise to improve, every sunset a reflection of effort. That is the essence of the warrior's journey. To live each day as if it were the whetstone of the soul. Through this fire you forge a self so sharp, so disciplined, that others mistake it for madness. But it is not madness. It is mastery, the pure expression of a will that no longer bends to weakness. When your routine burns bright enough, it ceases to be a cage and becomes a beacon. The fire no longer consumes you, it defines you. And in that eternal rhythm, the warrior is reborn each day. Stronger, calmer, unshakable. The blade of self-control is the edge that separates the disciplined from the defeated. It is the silent weapon of the warrior who conquers not others, but himself. Like a sword forged in the fires of restraint, it gains its sharpness through denial, the refusal to yield to impulse, distraction, or desire. The world tempts you to act without thought, to chase fleeting pleasure, to surrender to anger or weakness, but the samurai knows that emotion, ungoverned, is chaos, and chaos dulls the spirit. The blade of self-retribution must be polished daily, through awareness and choice. To remain calm in provocation, patient in uncertainty, unmoved in temptation. This is true mastery. Each time you choose discipline over indulgence, the blade gleams brighter, cutting away the unnecessary and revealing the essence of who you are meant to become. In the ancient code of Bushido, restraint was not seen as suppression but as refinement. A warrior's strength lay not in his power to strike, but in his wisdom to know when not to. The one who cannot control his anger becomes a slave to it. The one who cannot master his desires becomes lost in them. Self-restrainable is the armor of the mind and the guardian of the spirit. It is not silence born from fear, but silence born from dominance over the self. When the storm rises within, the disciplined man stands still, his mind clear, his breath steady. The world may burn around him, but his hand does not tremble. That is the mark of the warrior. Control so complete that even chaos bows before his will. To wield the blade of self-control is to understand that every moment is a duel. You fight not enemies outside, but the weaker versions of yourself. The one who craves comfort, who seeks escape, who bends under pressure. The enemy is impatience, laziness, indulgence. Each decision is a strike, each temptation a test of your edge. The undisciplined swing wildly and exhaust themselves. The master waits, strikes only when the moment demands, and never wastes movement. In life, as in battle, precision is power. When you control yourself, you control your destiny. When you master your emotions, you command the battlefield of existence. The warrior who rules his own nature fears no man, for no external force can break what is governed within. Musashi himself once said, "Control your spirit and adjust your energy." These words are the essence of self-mastery. The blade of self-restrainer does not cut others, it carves the path to enlightenment. It teaches you to delay gratification, to choose long-term strength over momentary satisfaction. It demands that you act with intention, not reaction. When your emotions no longer dictate your actions, you become unshakable. You move with clarity, speak with purpose, live with discipline. To those bound by impulse, you will seem distant, even inhuman, but they do not understand. This is not detachment, it is liberation. For the man who has mastered himself is free. The blade of self-restraint shines not because it seeks to destroy, but because it reflects the light of an unbroken spirit. A mind disciplined enough to turn chaos into stillness, and stillness into power. The silence of focus is the sanctuary of the disciplined soul, the still chamber where chaos fades and purpose becomes absolute. In a world deafened by noise, distraction, and endless motion, the warrior withdraws into silence, sharpening his mind like a blade against stone. Focus is not merely attention, it is devotion, a merging of spirit and intent so complete that nothing else exists. The samurai knew this silence well, for in battle, hesitation meant death. Every breath, every heartbeat, every motion was guided by a calm awareness that transcended thought. This is the same silence you must cultivate, the inner void where energy gathers and distractions perish. When you enter this state, You do not chase success, you become the path itself. The world slows, the noise dissolves, and what remains is clarity, pure, unbroken, relentless. True focus demands sacrifice. You cannot walk two paths and reach your destination. To silence the world, you must be willing to let go of what does not serve your purpose, comfort, entertainment, even certain people. Focus is a vow, a promise to give your full being to a single direction. It is mujo, the acceptance that all is impermanent, that every wasted moment burns away a piece of your potential. The warrior embraces this truth not with despair but with urgency. Every day is an opportunity to refine the mind, to quiet the noise, to hear the faint whisper of destiny calling from within. When you eliminate the unnecessary, what remains is power, raw, concentrated, unstoppable. The silence of focus is not emptiness, it is precision incarnate. In that silence, the mind becomes a weapon. Thoughts cease to wander, emotions cease to dominate, and your energy channels entirely into creation, mastery, and purpose. The undisciplined scatter their power across 1,000 desires and achieve nothing. The focused warrior, however, pours his energy into one task until it yields. Like a monk in meditation or a swordsman awaiting his strike, he exists fully in the moment. Undivided, unwavering. Every action he takes, every breath he draws, carries intention. This focus transforms ordinary work into ritual, ordinary time into legacy. The noise of the world cannot touch him, for he has built within himself a fortress of stillness. From this silence, he draws strength, not just to act, but to endure. To live in the silence of focus is to walk the path of Musashi, a man who found clarity in solitude, mastery in stillness. He understood that a distracted mind is a dull blade, incapable of precision or peace. The silence you seek is not the absence of sound, but the absence of fragmentation. It is the alignment of body, mind, and will under one banner, discipline. When your focus deepens enough, even time bends before your resolve. You no longer chase results. They emerge naturally from your unwavering attention. Others will call you obsessive, distant, even ruthless. Let them. They speak from a place of noise. You, however, move in silence, the silence of mastery, of control, of unbroken will. In that silence, the warrior becomes eternal, his purpose cutting through the noise like a blade through mist. The armor of consistency is the shield that guards the disciplined against the decay of doubt, distraction, and defeat. It is not forged in moments of greatness, but in the small, unseen acts repeated day after day. The quiet victories over laziness, the steady progress no one applauds. The samurai did not train for glory, he trained because it was his way. Consistency is not glamour, it is grit. The endurance of effort even when results seem distant. Like armor, it is built layer by layer, through every repetition, every disciplined choice. Once worn, it protects you from the storms of uncertainty. When the world falters, the consistent remain standing. They are not the fastest, nor the strongest, but they are the ones who never stop. And in the end, it is not brilliance that conquers the world, it is persistence. Consistency is the silent oath of the warrior, to show up no matter how weary, no matter how unseen. It does not demand perfection, only presence. Every day you honor your craft, you add another plate to your armor. It may feel heavy at first, but soon it becomes part of you, a second skin of resilience. The undisciplined live by emotion. They act only when they feel inspired. But the warrior acts because he must. That is the essence of Bushido. Devotion without condition. Each sunrise is another opportunity to prove loyalty to your path. Whether you rise with strength or stumble with fatigue, you move forward all the same. For the warrior, stopping is not an option. It is a form of death. And so he moves, steady as the tide, unbroken by time. Consistency is not built in ease, but through resistance. The armor you forge through daily discipline is tested by failure, by boredom, by the quiet temptation to give in. Yet every time you endure, your resolve hardens. You begin to trust yourself, not because you always succeed, but because you always return. The fire may dim, the body may tire, but the consistent spirit never fades. Like tempered steel, it bends, but does not break. Musashi lived this truth. His mastery did not emerge from genius alone, but from decades of relentless practice. To others, it seemed inhuman, obsessive. But in his world, repetition was reverence. Each stroke of the sword was a prayer, each motion a meditation. Through this rhythm, he achieved immortality, not in body, but in legacy. The armor of consistency transforms you into something formidable. When you move with discipline every day, doubt loses its grip. Distraction slides off like rain on steel. The world begins to respect your steadiness, not your speed. This armor makes you immune to failure, for you understand that setbacks are temporary, but effort is eternal. Every day you persist, you strengthen your spirit's defense against chaos. You learn that greatness is not one grand act, but the accumulation of small, unwavering ones. Those who lack consistency may burn bright, but they fade quickly. The warrior, however, burns steadily, endlessly, until his light becomes part of the dawn itself. When you wear the armor of consistency, you are untouchable. Not because life spares you, but because nothing can make you quit. The spirit of endurance, Hagane no Ishi, the will of steel, is the invisible force that carries the warrior through the fire when every muscle screams to stop. It is the soul's unbreakable alloy, forged in the crucible of pain, hardship, and relentless testing. Endurance is not simply surviving. It is continuing to advance when survival itself feels impossible. The samurai understood that pain was not an enemy but a master teacher. Each wound, each failure, each long night of struggle tempered the spirit into steel. To endure is to transcend weakness, to rise again even when the world has beaten you into the ground. Every warrior who has ever stood victorious has first learned to kneel before endurance, to bow to the flame that refines rather than destroys. The fire does not care who you are. It only reveals what you truly are. Endurance demands surrender, not to defeat but to purpose. The path of Hagane no Ishi is one of quiet rebellion against the limits the mind tries to impose. When the body fails, endurance steps forward. When doubt whispers, endurance roars. It is not dramatic, it is patient. It grows stronger in silence, in solitude, in repetition. The undisciplined seek shortcuts and comfort, but the warrior knows that there is no glory without suffering. Endurance is the sacred vow to never retreat from the mission, no matter the cost. It does not seek recognition, it seeks completion. Through storms, hunger, exhaustion, and despair, the spirit endures. Not because it is unfeeling, but because it has found something worth feeling for. In that, it finds immortality. There will come days when your strength fails you, when motivation fades, when results vanish, when your dreams feel too far to reach. It is then that Hagane no Ishi awakens. You do not move for pleasure or reward, but because your purpose commands you to. Endurance is the bridge between your present and your potential, between the man you are and the one you are becoming. It is not the absence of weakness. It is the refusal to let weakness win. Every step forward, no matter how slow, is a strike against surrender. The samurai believed that to endure one more moment than the enemy was victory. That is the essence of this spirit, the quiet, unwavering refusal to yield. In the depth of fatigue, when your breath shortens and your mind fractures, the spirit of endurance whispers again. To live with Hagane no Ishi is to carry within you the eternal flame that no hardship can extinguish. This is the essence of the warrior's immortality, to continue long after others have fallen away. Endurance transforms pain into strength, failure into wisdom, struggle into serenity. It teaches that resilience is not born in triumph, but in suffering well. When your will becomes steel, obstacles lose their meaning. You begin to move through life with calm defiance, knowing that nothing can truly stop you except yourself. The spirit of endurance is not loud, not fast, not glorious. It is steady, silent, and eternal. It is the heartbeat of discipline, the pulse of the warrior's soul. And when the world sees your unbroken will, they will understand. This is not obsession. This is mastery. Hagane no Ishi, the indestructible will that no fire can consume. The path of unshakable purpose, Ikigai, is the invisible thread that weaves meaning through the chaos of existence. It is the reason a warrior rises before dawn, the silent call that whispers even when the body aches and the spirit falters. Ikigai is not found in comfort or luxury. It is discovered in struggle, in service, in the pursuit of something greater than oneself. To walk this path is to align every breath, every action, every thought with purpose. The samurai did not fight merely to live, he lived to fulfill his purpose. Without it, even strength becomes hollow. With it, even pain becomes sacred. Purpose gives direction to suffering, shape to endurance, and clarity to confusion. It transforms the ordinary into the divine, for when a man knows why he walks, no obstacle can make him stop. But Ikigai demands honesty, a brutal confrontation with who you are and what you are meant to become. Most wander through life lost, chasing pleasure, validation, or distraction. The warrior, however, seeks alignment. The point where passion, skill, need, and meaning intersect. It is not a dream to be chased, but a truth to be lived. Purpose is not discovered through thought, it is revealed through action. Each day you rise and work. Each moment you push through resistance, you carve your Ikigai into reality. This path is not paved with comfort but with conviction. When you find it, you no longer ask for motivation, because purpose itself becomes your fuel. Every obstacle turns into a stepping stone, every failure into refinement. The man who walks with purpose moves differently. Calm, steady, unstoppable. To live with Ikigai is to embody direction in its purest form. It silences doubt and fear because you are no longer drifting. You are driven. The undisciplined waste their energy on confusion and comparison, but the purposeful channel theirs like a river cutting through stone. You do not need applause or recognition. Your validation comes from the act itself. Whether the world sees your effort or not, you continue, because purpose is its own reward. This is the way of the warrior, to move through the world not as a seeker of comfort, but as a vessel of meaning. When your Ikigai becomes clear, even suffering becomes bearable, for you understand that every hardship is part of your mission. Like Musashi, who saw every duel not as battle but as refinement, you begin to realize that life itself is your training ground. The path of Ikigai is eternal. It does not end with achievement, for purpose is not a destination but a rhythm. It breathes through your work, your discipline, your silence. When you align your life with your Ikigai, even the smallest act becomes sacred. Eating, walking, training, creating, all flow from the same source of meaning. In this state, you no longer resist hardship, because you see its place within your purpose. The winds may change, but you do not waver. Storms may come, but your direction remains clear. Others will call it obsession, but what they see as madness is simply devotion. For the warrior guided by Ikigai, every heartbeat is a declaration. I live for something greater than myself. And in that unshakable purpose you find not only strength, you find peace. The discipline beyond comfort is the crucible where true strength is born, the sacred space where the warrior meets himself without illusion. Comfort is the great deceiver, the soft whisper that lures the spirit into decay. To live only within it is to die without ever living. The samurai understood that growth begins where comfort ends, that the edge of difficulty is where the soul begins to forge its steel. The discipline beyond comfort is not about punishment but liberation, the freedom that comes when you no longer bow to convenience. It is waking when the body begs for rest, training when the mind pleads for ease, enduring when every part of you cries out to stop. It is the fire that separates the common from the uncommon, the strong from the merely willing. When you walk into discomfort willingly, you reclaim your power from weakness. You stop asking for an easier path, and instead become stronger for the one you walk. To live with such discipline is to reject the illusion that comfort equals happiness. The undisciplined chase pleasure only to find emptiness. The warrior chases challenge and discovers peace. Every act of discomfort, every early morning, every repetition, every controlled hunger builds layers of unshakable will. Like tempered steel, the spirit is hardened not by luxury, but by fire. Hagane no Ishi, the will of steel, is born in this very friction. When the body protests, the discipline remains still, breathing through resistance until struggle becomes serenity. This is not cruelty, it is self-respect. For to deny yourself growth for the sake of comfort is to live half awake. Discipline beyond comfort teaches that the real enemy is not pain, but avoidance. Not fatigue, but surrender. To endure is to live with purpose. This discipline transforms ordinary moments into training grounds for mastery. When you choose the harder road, you teach your mind that it cannot control you through fear. When you delay gratification, you train your emotions to obey your mission, not your mood. Every moment of resistance becomes a lesson in control, a chance to polish the blade of your will. The samurai did not seek ease, he sought readiness. His strength was not born in battle, but in the thousands of hours he spent preparing for one. Likewise, your battle is not against the world, but against the comfort that dulls your potential. The more you walk into discomfort, the more you expand your limits. What once felt unbearable becomes your new normal, and what once broke you now builds you. The disciplined find peace not after hardship but within it. To walk the path of discipline beyond comfort is to embrace a rare truth, that growth and pain are the same teacher wearing different masks. When you stop resisting, pain becomes guidance. When you stop seeking ease, you begin to live deliberately. The man who trains his mind to act regardless of comfort becomes unstoppable, because nothing external can dictate his strength. This is the essence of mastery. To move not by feeling, but by principle. To remain constant while the world changes. Others will call you obsessed, emotionless, or unfeeling. But the warrior knows this is not detachment, it is command. Comfort enslaves those who fear it, but discipline frees those who face it. Beyond comfort lies transformation, and beyond transformation lies truth. The discipline beyond comfort is not a punishment, it is a path walked only by those who dare to become unbreakable. Discipline is not a punishment, it is the path to freedom. The journey of becoming so disciplined that people call you crazy is not about perfection but persistence. The willingness to rise each day and face yourself without retreat. Like Musashi, you must live as both the sword and the forge, constantly shaping, refining and strengthening your spirit through fire. The world will not understand your devotion. They will call it obsession because they cannot comprehend mastery. But remember, it is in the silence of your daily grind, in the repetition of unseen effort, that greatness is born. The warrior does not seek applause. His reward is transformation. Every act of discipline is a declaration of defiance against weakness, and every moment of struggle is proof of your becoming. You are not here to live easy, you are here to live true. So let the world call you mad, let them doubt your resolve. For the path of Musashi was never for the many, but for the few who dare to walk alone through the fire. Stay disciplined, Stay unshakable and become the living embodiment of your purpose. That is the way of the warrior.